It took a long time to start then. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening.
It's cold weather down the south here.
Be in the world. Yes, I don't know why that took so long. I know we couldn't start beforehand like we often do because Ian was having a right old rant. And keeping on the green theme, Randall's not going to join us this evening. What's behind me here, that's the first original green drone. Well, not drone, of course, because it was piloted by our heroes of the Thunderbirds crew. Yeah, he is away.
Was it Virgil? Did Virgil fly Thunderbird too? I think it was, wasn't it? Scott was Thunderbird 1, wasn't he? Virgil, and then...
Who was the loser up in the space station?
Oh, John.
Yeah.
John got the space station job. Yeah.
Bugger off up to the space station. Yeah.
But he could see. He could watch lots of porn while he's up there.
I think they've all died of woodworm.
That's not even a minute,
now.
Right? Not even 1 minute.
Haven't set the tone for the program.
Exactly. Well, actually, all right. Before we, because we do need to. Randall's going to come on next week when he's back for this thing, and we can ask him. So we'll get to that, and we'll talk to that next. But first, I want to know, what have you done, Bruce? Why have you trespassed?
Why have I trespassed? Oh, that's
well, you must have done. You're doing flipping thing. Is this
all these legal letters I've got? All the legal letters. Yes, the council that I love to call my friends have sent me more legal warnings because I went into the council building, which is a public space. And filmed some B-roll, just some of the, stuff on the wall and, just a general view around. And I got a letter saying, you must cease and desist filming in our building without permission, even though it's a public foyer of a public building. And again, they're just trying to bully me because I'm having all sorts of battles with them at the moment because I keep revealing unfortunate facts that they don't want revealed. So they're trying to bully me with lawyers' letter. I had one, of course, before about the defamation, threatening defamation for putting a video up, catching the mayor in a lie. So every time I reveal some new fact that they don't want revealed, they threaten me with lawyers' letters. So just wasting my time.
Yeah, man, that's no. I'm looking for that documentary. Was it the Park Go Tokoroa? And I'll put that link up. What was that documentary about who Stowey is? There it is. I will put this link.
Oh yeah,
I think it's important.
Who stole the playground?
It's important for people to get a handle on the town there more than the airfield, because we're missing the airfield a bit, of course. Now that you're not posting quite so much.
Well, there's still discussions hot on. They want to sell the airfield. They want to sell the airfield because they don't know what to do with it. They won't let anyone who does know anything about aviation have anything to do with it. If we can't wreck it, you can't wreck it. Like we've got to. It's just, it is such a nightmare. And now they've put all the local taxes up and they've cut the services, and they're planning to increase the local taxation by 65% over the next 5 years. 65%. And they're borrowing up to $115 million and extra tax. Where's the money going? No, and that's what I'm investigating at the moment. And they don't like it because it's a very, very sad tale of mismanagement. And
it's the same over here, Bruce, though. Like, I'm sure my council is 150 mil short.
Yeah, but you're not as small a town as ours, are you?
Million short on their budget. I live quite, I'm not particularly it's a big area, and it's a major tourist area where I live. Yet they're 150 million short of the budget. And in the UK, it's something like 80% of councils aren't viable or something like. There's a real problem with all of this local government, because for years they've been racking up debt and racking up expenditure, and in the end we pay. That's how a council actually works. And the bit no one seemed to click on until recent times was we pay. We have to pay through council tax.
So you don't see where the money goes. You don't have a breakdown of the money, do you? In the UK,
no, we don't.
No,
we don't see it's local services. It's as simple as that. Yeah.
We see that here in Finland. We get a breakdown of everything. It's broken. Every penny is broken down.
Wow, you see everything. Civilized. That's very
transparency, isn't it? We don't have that.
Yeah. There's no room for corruption in that. I'm sorry. There's no room for ripping people off, corruption, and even
down to the dog parks and how much the city or the cities pay for the little dog bags that they have in the street that you can use if you forget to take your dogs when they go to the toilet and stuff. And even
Yeah.
that, it's like.
But last year, last year or the year before, just put some context on that, was they knew they were short. They were like 150 million short, yet they voted through their own 18% pay rise.
Of course.
Priorities.
Oh,
It's all
come
about
on,
priorities, mate.
This is but that's the UK, Ian. It's that is the UK. So
yeah,
there's no surprise.
Well, open a soft drink or adult beverages, sit back, relax, and I could start into what happens here, but you haven't got time. You have not got time to hear about Africa. Let me tell you.
We should talk about drones.
Is it time for me to rant?
Yeah. Well, actually, again, before we go into this, let's leave this Anzu's thing hanging a little bit. Let's do that stories thing. Remember, I said I was going to do stories, but of course, I haven't actually sorted it. So this one was quite interesting. This one's reared its head again. Another company saying there's export controls. Don't call us, we'll call you. China. Well, I wonder why there'd be export controls on that sort of size shaped platform. I wonder why they'd be. I wonder why they'd be doing that. And that does look a little bit like it's come out of Thunderbirds, doesn't it? And then share this tab instead.
Or you could fill it with something.
You absolutely. And T-Motor has a message to convey. I thought that was quite interesting that they were talking about. It's not us. We don't spy on stuff. Meanwhile, that previous slide, they're currently filling vehicles full of motors for places that where they go back.
Yeah, I'm still hearing on this one, Gav, that they're not banned from exporting or importing into the US. I'm still being told through people that this only affects US companies' ability to work with them directly. It's the same issue that DJI face on like the App Store, but they can still sell into the US. The info I have is it has no impact on them. What it would have an impact on is a government agency couldn't buy a drone from them. But
well, that's interesting. I all my sources tell me completely different. It's a ban. That's that. So we'll see how it shapes.
When you read the documentation, there's some interesting wording in there, which is around the purchase of the products. They're still sending. Funny enough, I'm waiting for something from T-Motor actually. A flight controller. They have a new flight controller. Nothing for saying anything that large, but yeah, they've definitely made the cut. It's not surprising because they didn't really hide what they were doing either.
Yeah,
it wasn't particularly. It was quite brazen there because they make quite a lot of ready-to-fly drones.
Now, Cliff, it's not government only. This one. This is part of it. It's also a little bit like the obscuring of things that's happening with the DJI thing. Loads of people are saying, I see it in forums around about my favorite place, LinkedIn. They're saying, "Oh no, it's not going to be for private flyers. Don't worry. It's not going to affect us. It's going to affect everybody." And that keeps trickling forward. That ban keeps trickling forward. DJI have just commissioned a go and tell everybody about it. Go and shout at your senators to stop it thing. So they must be getting worried. They must be getting worried about it now.
Maybe T-Motor could actually just maybe paint their motors a different color and then just sell them on.
Well, they do.
They are
green. They can make them green.
Green.
Yeah.
Green would be a good color,
good.
wouldn't it? They are a massive OEM as well. Like I think there was a stat someone told me that T-Motor makes something like 80% of the motors for larger aircraft, even as an OEM. So from their point of view, even if they couldn't sell them under the T-Motor brand, they'd just sell them out through OEM. It doesn't really have a great effect.
And then, so we might start talking about this because this is the elephant in the room for Anzu, which is, it's what we knew. There's a report that Kevin and some other guys, Andreas and someone else I can't read because it's too small, put out. You can have a look at it here. It's well worth the read. It is a pretty deep dive into the makeup of the thing. And I don't know. I don't know that it's breaking ground, this report. I think it's everything we knew, apart from it sort of confirms where the firmware actually resides, and or not resides. Resides is that the right word? That might be the wrong word, but it's Bob's straight apparently DJI firmware. I don't know if we want to talk about that, boys.
It's complicated. There is, because I've read this and look, I've been talking about this in the background all week. This report is not perfect. That should be said first, because this isn't. The way the testing was done leaves some question marks, and it's an annoyance for me because it means it can't be 100%. I like things that are nicely tied up with a bow and ribbon on the top, and we can sit there and deal with it. So what they've done raises some questions. However, nonetheless, they tested a drone. And there are 3 elements in this that are important. So element number 1 is the drone came with stock DJI firmware. Okay, so that's not even firmware that Anzu may have had and then have signed themselves. This is as it comes today from DJI's own servers for the Mavic 3 Enterprise. So it is untouched. It hasn't been repackaged as far as they can tell and re-signed.
So it's semi-white labeled.
Yeah, it's literally, which brings into question, because when we were talking to Randall, he very clearly said he's been given the firmware and they're going to package that up and put it onto the drones, and that would be detectable. Number 2 is it was said that Aloft was not just an SDK, that it was far deeper, yet this completely brings that into question. They are very much in their findings that the Aloft element is just built around DJI's SDK, with all of the base side of it being the same, which means it's identical to using Drone Deploy, it's identical to using any of
that. That's what I was thinking. Would you be able to just install Drone Deploy and then the drone would connect to it and it would find it easily? That would be a first test.
Yeah.
I don't think I had that in the test, but that's certainly the first
and they packaged it as that. And look, the hardware we know is DJI's, in the sense of there's question marks over, it's made in Malaysia. Who owns the factory? That's a lot of question marks. I don't know if we'll ever get the answers on. What this is, though, right now is, Randall was brilliant when he came on. It was a great interview, and he was very clear and open in saying, we've got the firmware, we're going to package it and put it on the drone. It's not just a skin over the top of DJI. This seems to be opposite to that. So now we're left in a situation where actually this is looking like a DJI drone in a different dress. Whereas what we were hoping for was something different. And then that raises the question of what's the point? Because that means nothing's changed. Because the question mark is never, and when you really dig into it, DJI are not stealing people's data. DJI are not farming gigabytes of aerial footage like some people would have you. The reality is the products today are very mature.
You're triggering Kevin. I can hear him bouncing around right now.
Yeah. And the reality is the security element is largely a political overblown nonsense argument. When it comes to keep the drone offline, you don't have a problem. It's not magically able to transmit stuff if it's not connected. But what this was meant to be was something that had extra layers of protection to sort of counter that argument. Yet it appears that may not be the case.
He's been very forthright on his, not forthright, that's the wrong word. He's responded on LinkedIn very, very much with to lots of people calling him out on this, that they'll put it through the testing again, and if he's got it wrong, he's got it wrong. And I think I choose to trust him on that. And
yeah, but that's concerning. Whether the tested, right? So I take a thing of that. The testing is the drone safe or not? Okay, that's not the argument, because the DJI drone will pass the test. The argument was that it has. They have. If we're just talking here about taking a DJI product and putting it through a test and saying, hey, it's safe, it doesn't need another brand. It doesn't need all of this, made in and all of this. So this is we've got to be careful not to have a rabbit hole here of, oh yeah, but look, it's passed all the tests. Okay, the promises were, or the comments were, that it's manufactured in a different factory, that they have control of the software, they have control of what goes on the drone. If that's not the case, then that's okay, but that needs to be said. And that's where my argument here is on it.
It's like a level of homeopathy being layered on top to make you think that, and to make you think that it's okay. But in actual fact,
yes.
Yeah. And I wish it. Look, I like Randall. I wish it all the success. I hope. Look, he was very bold and he made some very big, not promises. Promises isn't the right word, but he was very open, very clear in what he said. Statements, yeah. And look, we just need to. It's either true or it's not. Look, let's cut to the nonsense here. It's either true or it isn't. What we don't. No, this industry is full of too many clever people to have the rug pulled over them. There are a lot of very, very clever people out there who will dissect this stuff. And look, what's interesting is how much noise this product has caused in Washington. I had an interview 2 weeks ago with a very large piece of media over there in the background where they wanted to understand this. This has caused a lot of noise in the American government because they're looking at this going, is this DJI just trying to get around the rules? Is this genuinely something different? Where is this? And I was asked to give my opinion based on the technical stuff that I'd posted online and have a chat about what this was. And, and I was clear. I said, the reality is today we don't fully know. What we do know is it's DJI's design. The rest of it remains to be seen.
This is an industry that is still finding its feet and still doesn't have enough money. And how much money is being wasted on this whole thing in the US politically, where people have a risk of losing their livelihoods, let's just say. And it's kind of sickening to see how far this is going with this in the US. Okay, maybe creating some jobs, but there's a real possibility that many jobs could actually be lost. All for what? Just a bit of politics. That's all. These people are there to help. These people are here to help and actually enable the public. And it seems to me that they're actually destroying and also helping to actually destroy this sector before it even gets started. It's just ridiculous.
Where do we want to put the starting point for this business, for the whole drone industry? Are we back to 1917 or into the 1940s or are we taking it to when the Phantom was launched? I mean, I'm not quite with you there, Stephen. We've been around a while now.
I'm just saying that you have many people who have invested in drones over the past, let's say, 5 to 7 years. Many new companies have been have been coming up, and I think the Mavic 3 Enterprise, whether it's the thermal or whatever, or the past Enterprise, and let's say that if we focus on the Enterprise a little bit, those are the ones that are being hit. The hobby ones, not so much in a sense. Of course, they may suffer, but the Enterprise drones are the ones that are actually being hit, and those are not cheap compared to others. And for any new company coming up, it's a lot of money to invest. and to be told that you can't use them anymore,
Well, you've got this. This is also broken in America this week. So okay. So there's the platform, and there's the deal of DJI as well. But there's, hey, get yourself licensed, and this case has been rattling on for a few years since he scrolls down quickly to see the year it started. It was late 2018. So from 2018, for 6 years, this bloke's been fighting this, and they've come out against him. And this is one of the, so we won't say industry, this is one of the elephants in the room. People are doing stuff that they're not actually qualified to do. But at the same time, it's a protection racket in the surveyors union or whatever they're called. Absolutely don't want just any Tom, Dick, or Harry producing maps. So maybe it isn't right. Maybe technology's moved on and people can produce a decent product. But that's another elephant in the drone room. If we're if I want to go down that rabbit hole, hashtag just saying.
Many of those construction companies don't want to be doing it on their own because they, because there's so many cuts over the years. And it makes more financial sense for them to outsource that work and to have a drone operator do that work. And it's much and what they tend to do. So a lot of what likes of these surveyors and the construction companies, what they're doing is they will have their own version of drone deploy. So just say for example drone deploy, and this is something I do as well with many companies. So they will have their own drone deploy. And they will just give you access to it, and you will go and do the mapping for whatever it is that you want. They want you to do, and you just provide the data for that, and that's fine.
That's right. Yeah.
But it's much better for them. It makes more cost sense for them to get someone else to do it rather than having one of their staff take away from one more job because they just don't have the time. But the thing is, and this is where it gets down to it. We know that there are lots of different brands of drones out there, but you're off the shelf, even the enterprise drones. It's much easier to use with drone deploy. Even you can't use Skydio. If you want to use Skydio, you have to do it manually, which is fine, but it takes way longer. And of course, longer means more expense.
Absolutely, and there's Kevin and the Sentinels.
Kevin's pushing Sentinel again.
What's wrong with pushing?
I love his DJI. Just ignore Sentinel. I love it because every day, I think Kevin posts it like every day or every other day. Anytime DJI releases like a press statement on anything, Kevin is always. I love it because I look through Twitter and it's like, oh yeah, he's there with it. Yet they can't. They never respond. We've never had an answer on Sentinel, have we? It's got to be like 2 years. Kevin's been highlighted that now, isn't it? It's good 2 years that's been a thing that he's been, pushing that out into the world. Yet I don't think they've ever responded. They don't want to admit that one.
Absolutely not. And it is part of the bigger picture. And I'll say that is my good luck to. Good luck to DJI if they're getting that done and we're all paying for it to happen. I'm trying to find another thing now.
So they won't admit to the stuff they got caught doing, but people expect that they would admit if they were doing it now.
Yeah, DJI will never admit to anything. No.
So when they say we're not spying on you, we can believe that, right? Because
exactly.
Just to find that comment area about the DJI firmware, look, all of DJI firmware is fairly well hacked now in the sense of. In fact, the issues over in, Ukraine have really pushed that world heavily, and it's a very big market now. People modifying, people hacking DJI firmware to allow the drones to do all sorts of things for all sides, and that is a reality. I don't really see the Anzu being any more or less compromised than DJI's in that respect. What it isn't. And what I was very clear on is it is a DJI product in the sense of it's their hardware and the amount of control over the software is completely unknown. And that's a fact. No one We don't fully understand what control Anzu Robotics have over the software. All of the information we have today implies very little. But we're going to have to wait and see. Perhaps that there were things that weren't quite, there are bits of this that all still feel very messy. If you think about it, from the release of the Spectre, that seems to come out of the same country. I'm not going to say the same factory because we don't know. What we do know is the Spectre comes out of Malaysia, as does this drone. They both appear on the market at roughly the same time frame. They both have sort of appear to have skin DJI software. What we do know is the Spectre firmware is hosted on DJI servers. That we know as fact, alongside their own firmware. There are things.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, I was just saying that one is still a bit of a mystery, isn't it?
There's no face behind that. I mean, obviously there's this company name, but there doesn't seem to be any face. That there's no.
Yeah.
There's no. There's not a Randall, if you know what I mean.
No.
Yeah.
You know what I was told? That I have a story about it, and I don't know if I believe it. And the story is that it is a member of a very high up member of staff at DJI who is pumping his pension fund.
Well, that's
what I've been told. And a backdoor deal was done to sell some basically old. It's not an old model because it's the A3. It's a current model, but a deal was done to. No, I don't know if it's true, but yeah.
Well, it wouldn't seem too unreasonable, would it? Wouldn't seem too unreasonable at all. I know. Here's another one I meant to definitely have us talking about. Was this one? Did you see this in the UK? Stonehenge, in fact, very, very famous place, Stonehenge. I think a lot of people around. Security guard shining a laser at the aircraft. Now, I think it's part 240. Is it in the UK? I can't remember what part it is now. But they quietly pulled. Previously you'd be endangering an aircraft and all that sort of thing with drones. Well, the CAA has moved that out of the wording, or drones out of the wording. But I still think the security guard should face something, or shouldn't.
They have actually responded. Tony has been messaging me today, and he's been updating me. And he got a response from the English Heritage, and they said, basically that he shouldn't have done that. They have reached out to the security company. They were questioning, where he was flying and all the rest of it, but he's shown that he was actually flying as he should have, and he wasn't flying over people. This was in the morning, and but he's actually waiting to get word from the actual security company, because obviously the actual company that handles security is outsourced, of course, as well. So they won't be from the Heritage. But but what is interesting here is that it seems to be that his sensor is okay, because I've seen some videos where these lasers have been going in the camera and it actually damages the sensor, and then it's gone. But this seems to be okay. He was quite lucky. But what if this was a search and rescue? What if this was a search and rescue drone? I mean, okay, it's all ifs and buts, blah blah blah. But this is this is bad. This is bad.
It was just a ground level Aurora. Just
there you go. It's the right time frame. Yeah. It's the right time frame. But I think the CAA has the CAA reached out to Tony? Have they at least sent a card and said we're awfully sorry?
He has reached out to the CAA, and they haven't responded. I did say to him this evening that I'm really interested to see what the CAA responded with.
What if it was a police helicopter? Because security people can't drones and helicopters.
If this was a police helicopter, it would be in the news. It would be. But no, but I think this is not getting the attention that it deserves. Actually, I think it needs more. And
the only problem I'd argue with it is just looking at the. I'm not saying he's beyond visual line of sight because he's not, but it looks over 400 foot when you look at the distance. That's the only thing you got to be careful of on this. Is
I don't know. What, over the stones?
I don't know. If you look back from the back, I don't know. It's a chunk of. It's not far, but it compared to most Mavic users, but it's it's one of those situations where you complain about something because you're completely the innocent, and then they try to do you for something. Is my worry.
Oh yeah,
do you know what I mean? They find a reason.
Never happens.
Okay.
Never. That's just
that's my point. Yeah.
Well,
they're always good at finding reasons, aren't they?
They are always good at finding reasons. You're absolutely right. Let's go.
Green filters on all your cameras.
Oh, come on, Google Earth. I want to measure it from because he's flying from the 303. He's flying from the corner, actually, where there used to be a house on that corner. I know exactly where he's flying. What happened to the house? Oh, got knocked down in the 40s. In the 40s, yeah. No, but on that junction there used to be a house there in the 40s. It's where the
Druids live here.
Exactly, that's
I
right.
thought you couldn't fly over Stonehenge. I thought there was.
You can.
You can fly over it, but you're not allowed to take off from the land. Yeah.
Yeah, if the
it's the usual.
If the airspace is closed, if the danger area is closed, or in fact, let's stop that one. Let's.
It's interesting how quick he got that out, though, isn't it? The security guard. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Why has he got it? Yeah.
It's probably got holstered. It'd be holstered, ready to draw.
Holstered laser.
But the thing is, that's clearly.
Sadly, bloody Bruce is probably right. He's probably right. And he's probably in some sort of tactical vest with sandwiches and a drink. All the things everywhere.
And then
hang on a minute.
And they have one in his sock just in case.
Exactly.
You have a secret one in the sock.
Absolutely, yeah, I know. Yeah, bloody Stonehenge. That's what I was going to do. Stonehenge. Please make up some content while I'm googling stuff I should have done before, which is traditional. Yeah, it's not far from the road. Go on, mate.
Did we cover that guy that got a prison term in Ireland last week?
I think the airport. We mentioned it, and they're kicking up about it, aren't they? Let's share this tab. Let's get rid of this tab, and we can look at that, and we can then look at.
What about the guy in? Was there not a guy in Aberdeen was jailed?
Yes,
yes,
that was the one. That was the one. The Ireland ones were the ones that appealing, and the Aberdeen guy. That was because
he was within 1.5 miles of an airplane. Oh my god!
Yeah. That was a bit harsh, wasn't it?
I was just reading Kevin's comment on he was told and Linsberger told him that it doesn't exist. Is that the same doesn't exist as Adam was told by DJI? And Adam's a good guy, but didn't DJI lie to Adam about something that also made it into the tech press? What was it to do with? So DJI said, no, we don't do that. And then it was turned out and found that they did and had to say, oh, they did. Oh, what was it? I wish I could remember. There was something that DJI denied and then had to backpedal on in the press. But yeah, it's just interesting because he said Adam had said that the Sentinel program doesn't exist. He was told by DJI it didn't exist. Well, he was also told by DJI that this other thing didn't happen as well. I just wish I could remember what it was. I'm sure it's something to do with geofencing as well.
I think lots of things have been said over the years. Right, so let's have a look at Altitude Angel. This is what they're showing us for, that's the social plane danger areas. And of course, you've got Thruxton and Boscombe down there. I used to live down there. Really loved the area. There's Larkhill. So Stonehenge, there's Stonehenge. It's here. It's in here. It's in that bit there. And it's, Bradford Haven, Stonehenge. Where's that road going down? Yeah. So it says it says parachute display, and then you've got that danger area 125 Lark Hill whenever that's open. So we can do that. It looks like you can fly there. Fine.
Hi.
And then we can share this tab, and that's where the house used to be. If you ever driven up
Is there a house
the
there? Was there? I
303,
didn't know that.
there used to be,
Yeah.
years ago. That's where the house used to be. And yeah,
It was bloody close to it, wasn't it?
yeah, oh yeah, it was. But look, I mean, if he'd how do we get rid of that? So that was 400 meters there. If he'd flown from here, he could have been 130 meters
he's
away.
133 meters, nice and clear.
Yeah, or a bit further in actually, because there's the stones there. A bit more, 200 meters. But yeah, I would say it's in visual line of sight. But it looks to me like that video.
So he couldn't have flown a Mini then. That'd be BV loss, isn't it? 80 meters is the limit for a Mini, isn't it?
I don't know.
For line of sight?
I don't know.
Isn't it? Isn't it as you see it, or if you don't see it, then obviously, and depending on your eyesight.
Yes, it's averaged. It's estimated.
But you also have to be able to orient it, don't you? Not just see it, but orient it.
That's that's the key, isn't it? Yeah,
you could see he had. You could see the reason the security guards were able to see it easily is because he had so many lights on it as well. Because he was flying in dark conditions, and that was why they were very quickly and easily able to react in the bad way that they did.
Yeah, because lighter drones need smaller batteries.
Oh, there you go.
But don't use LED lights because they're heavy.
They're heavy, yeah. Easier all week. And now I see that what's Trappy's company called? They've come clean over their little firmware issue, haven't they? And they've updated their firmware.
Yeah,
now,
there's a new firmware.
You'll tell me what that means, Ian.
It was a weird bug, apparently. It's not one I've seen, but the Ardra community picked up on it, and it's something to do with varying telemetry rates would cause a reset of the MCU on the receiver and basically crash it and unbind it, which is a bit of a bugger when you're flying. So yeah, they've pushed an update out, which is good to see. Then they're not dead. We haven't seen a lot from TBS in recent times, and yeah, they're a brand we've all seen. They've been in FPV since the beginning on drones, but they fixed that, which is good to see. There's a big update actually for ExpressRS, which I need to test, which improves their link. There it is, not encrypted. That was it.
That was the one. Yeah.
That was it. Yeah. So DJ and Adam is a good guy. I haven't spoke to him. I've had a message back with him a few years ago, back and forth. I think I'm their anti. They hate me these days, but Adam is himself a good guy. But he asked the question, he publicly responded, and then it turns out that response was incorrect, is the term I'll use.
And not the B word.
Yeah.
What, ending in Olux? Or it?
That's the one.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah. So just like Adam was asked on that, I guess it could fall into the same category as that, couldn't it?
Yeah.
Well,
it's going to be interesting to see if the ban happens. Even I'm thinking it might. It's got some legs to it.
There is so much pressure now from the US government to basically keep China out of their marketplace. All electric cars, everything now. Although I see that BMW got caught having Chinese-built Mini Coopers brought into America, which contained parts that were on the naughty list. So, but I mean, they're checking to that level of scrutiny now. They just don't want China. They can't compete on an innovation and a price basis, so they'll just put up a war of tariffs, because apparently something which is a security threat at one price is no longer a security threat if you add a big tariff on top.
The only thing I get in this, though, is just the hypocrisy, because, I get it, but if you notice, if you really want to go after China, you go after the money machine, which is the likes of Foxconn. If you take Foxconn, okay, they make pretty much every Dell, every HP laptop, most Apple iPhones. What is interesting is, if you notice, the government are pussyfooting around stuff that doesn't really affect the public. So if you take DJI drones, if there's a ban on it, it'll upset a small number of hobby and commercial drone users. How many do it? How big is that market? It's tiny. But if if you really, really cared, you would go, you know what? American companies, Apple, Dell, HP, enough with your nonsense. It must be made in America now, and you're not shipping them in from China anymore. But they won't, because it will bring the country to its knees. And that's the problem.
Well,
You've
as
also
you
got to
say,
remember that China owns the USA by virtue of the debt.
Yeah. It is interesting with the cars, Bruce.
China owns most countries anyway by debt. So, you know,
they are pushing the electric cars, the BYDs. It's a huge, huge push in Europe. Massive push. They're not really seeing them so much in the UK, but they are flooding the European market now, big style. And the Germans are concerned because the German car machine has been the Europe. If you look at Volkswagen Audi Group, they own the car industry in Europe, the brands, everything, and they've got a lot to lose. And the scary thing is, when you watch the reviews, I've been watching the stuff quite closely on Fully Charged. The product is actually good. It's
yes,
they've caught up to what took us, the West, with cars 30, 40 years in quality. They're basically there now.
Elon Musk will save everything because he's going to have full self-driving going this year. That'll change everything. Trust me. And the Hyperloop.
Oh, well,
it's interesting. The Chinese domestic market is shunning European and American cars now too. The sales from European and American brands have dropped because the Chinese manufacturers are offering more features, better prices. It's a better product.
It's more value for money, and that's what people want in this climate, and this climate is going to change dramatically if America does turn around and say everything has to be built in America.
Yeah,
then it will just feed more into people wanting to have more stuff from China because they won't be able to afford it.
And what would help better more than a war footing if you had a war economy where everyone is just, that's what's happening in Russia. And their economy's been amazingly resilient because they've switched to a war economy. And so everyone is sort of pulling in the same direction. And the whole world situation is so precarious at the moment. I just sit back and wait for the morning I wake up and see the headlines it's all on.
Someone just said about how many BYDs have caught fire. How many normal cars have caught fire? You'd be shocked how many cars catch fire.
Yeah.
Cars catching fire is a shockingly common occurrence and was in the UK for many of the brands, especially in the 90s, that we had a real spat of Vauxhalls that had issues spontaneously going up and all sorts of things. So yeah, I wouldn't worry too much about that side of things.
That's why the insurance companies would have third party fire and theft because
there you go. Fire was, and the word fire was ahead of theft.
Yeah,
exactly.
Cars going on fire is a shockingly common occurrence. It's
let's see. What's this one says? Petrol is there we are, at least 20 times higher for petrol and diesel.
Don't believe the poor build quality. Have you seen a French car?
I've owned several. Well, Land Rovers are mentioned. They never get so far as catching fire. They never get as far as the airport to that point.
Well, you can't insure a Land Rover in the UK now because they are so easy to steal. They are so a Discovery is thing. They are so easy to steal now. Land Rover are having to give away insurance because other insurance companies won't insure them.
They won't even insure their own vehicles. Have you seen in the Daily Mail people with Land Rovers can't get insurance from Land Rover even?
Yeah. I don't understand. In the world we're in with all of the cryptography stuff, our phones and everything, WhatsApp has a secure message that no one can read, yet you can't stop a car being stolen. Because a guy with a length of wire can stand by your front door with a $20 thing to repeat the signal and unlocks it and drives it off the drive. Part of the thing with the car industry as well, they got greedy. If you look at the moves, and Tesla started this and BMW started this with this subscription stuff a few years ago, when you started, all of the BMs were coming with all of the hardware in, and you had to pay for the electric seats if you wanted them, and all of this stuff. It's and Tesla with this subscription on extras, yet the second-hand user doesn't get it when he buys the car. He gets a base model. They've got greedy, and the Chinese will walk in and do what they've done in every industry, which was outprice.
I think what Tesla, I mean, the only subscription they have, I know I've got a Tesla, the only subscription they have is the premium subscription, which allows you to get the online. So basically, you have a SIM card in the car. There's and it's like €10 a month, 10 quid a month, right? Which, if you compare to other manufacturers, BMW, Porsche, all the rest of it, all the other high-ends who have this kind of stuff, it's way cheaper. It's way cheaper. I mean, it's actually one of the cheapest subscriptions for anything with the cars that are out there, and it is good value because, I mean, you're getting live map. I mean, you can get some of that with your phone if you want to do that, but it's just easier if you don't. And I mean, it's just €10 a month. I mean, it's
the interesting thing is, the scary thing is, and and it's interesting because this comes back to drones. So there's all the concern over these, right? The DJI stuff, spying on me, right? And as I said earlier, if you keep this thing largely offline, the reality is there's no problems. What you're now about to have, though, is a flood of Chinese-made cars that are all connected, that have cameras all around. They have all of the sensors. They have the camera. We accept now, based on, Tesla put cameras everywhere in cars. We're all used to it, that cars have cameras. There's been some issues with Tesla. There's been news stories about Tesla staff watching back the internal cameras on cars, and that hit the press apparently, and it was apparently something that apparently happened, according to the press, because they are slightly litigious. But you now got loads of Chinese vehicles that are going to be entering European, Western highways, which have probably 8-10 cameras, all these sensors on there, and cars being connected is a service. As you were saying there, you're paying people. We actually give car companies money to take our data. The irony is we actually pay them to take our data from us. And yeah, I think drones are the least of people's problems. Cars is the big one. And it's no wonder DJI have gone into that market. It's
look at the USA, the car manufacturer is selling all your data to the insurance companies anyway. It's like you have no privacy in this world anymore. And you might as, the moment you do anything, the world knows about it. So just throw your hands up and give up. I'm taking the password off the Wi-Fi.
Exactly.
What's Kevin whinging about now? So he said erroneous things about software. What are you whinging about?
I told you.
WhatsApp can be.
Yes,
broken.
I know. It was like that was the. It's like nothing is 100% secure. Everyone knows that. But my argument is, you can get a car with a $20 you can't with a $20 device read people's messages on their iPhones and things like this. What I'm saying is, a car today can be stolen with a length of wire and a freaking thing and a Flipper Zero, whichever one the guys are using on them now.
Yeah, but it used to just be a screwdriver and a bloody slide hammer. That's all you needed in the old days.
The argument is, in the world we're in today, car security has woefully fallen behind compared to everything else.
Strangely enough, the insurance rates are still incredibly low, aren't they?
You can't. Not everyone is a Kevin, so you can't set the baseline of what Kevin can do. You have to set the baseline of what can a chav do in a tracksuit in 30 seconds. That's about the benchmark you've got to go with.
Oh, they could probably beat Kevin at breaking into cars. I reckon that would be a fantastic video to have a Kevin versus a chav. For our overseas viewers, a chav is the police short slang for a person who is council housed and violent. CHAV, council house and violent. Yeah, Kevin does know vehicles. He does know his vehicle stuff. But I'm not sure what the American nomenclature would be for a similar sort of person. Yeah,
it's crazy when you look at the guys nicking the cars in the UK. They're getting them off the drives in. I have a friend who had his very nice BMW driven off the drive in less than 30 seconds by two guys who basically one stood by the door, one stood by the car. He went there with his little antenna device to mirror the key. Did it, got in it, and they just and the worst thing is they drove it off. You wouldn't mind so much if they had to load it, at least to have some effort. But the fact that they get to drive it off the drive.
I think most Americans augment the basic car security system with those ones from Glock and Smith and Wesson, don't they?
Yeah, I think so. As we do here. I was thinking just the other day as we went to somewhere to a bottle store, and we all grabbed weapons because where we were was quite a wild place. So all of us went to go some groceries, went to a supermarket carrying, which is in England's not really the done thing. And my mate's got a safe in his a gun safe in his car that's approved, and you have to have that approved by your insurers. Oh, and I do know a Land Rover insurance story as well, which is not an insurance story, but for down here. But one they're getting slated down here is they've got some sort of thing. Their very latest Land Rovers where they will switch themselves off, lock the doors, etc., as much as they can. But anyway, make themselves dead in the middle of nowhere for the very
they do
slightest.
that anyway. You don't have to. That's not security.
True.
It's just the way they. Yeah,
it's just the way they work. But in our province, which is probably bigger than all of the West Country, easily, probably all the West Country and Wales, there's one service laptop that can unlock it. So you could be in the middle of nowhere, and this engineer has to come out to you with this one laptop that can sort it out. And apparently, it is a matter of plugging it in and off it goes again. So yeah, they do. Liberating next week, Cliff. Maybe
I've sort of not really got my head around why cars haven't, especially high-end cars, have gone down the road of fingerprint lock as well. Just some, you know what I mean?
Is that what happens in the real world? Wow.
No, it's shocked that stuff hasn't happened. Do you know what I mean?
Biometrics isn't particularly good, though. I don't know. Kevin might have
it's
some
a
information.
Barrier, though, Bruce.
You just cut the finger off the person and
that's
put it on the
just what I was going to say. That is exactly what they did when they tried that on ATM machines here. They chopped the fingers off.
Yeah.
So it's but it takes life, doesn't it?
My key is just my phone. That's it. And I've I do have a card which I have at home, which I've never used, but that is my key, and it's nice and convenient. It's great. It's safe enough. I do have an interesting story about my wife who actually.
Never good when you laugh before the story.
No, thank goodness she's not watching.
She's not watching. Who left her phone on top of the car, and then drove away, and then the car and then the phone actually fell off the car and was down the street. Was basically, and long story short, she did have her key. You had this card. You had this card that you get, right? And she had the card in her purse, which was in the car, so it kept the car going and stuff, And she didn't realize until half an hour later that her phone was gone. Anyway, but it's but that would have literally shut the car down, because you wouldn't have been able to.
It just seems like vehicles, the security, it's almost like they want them to get stolen. But it's lots of things. I deal a lot with other vehicle break-ins and stuff, and it's like on that I deal a lot with vans and vehicle break-ins on vans and stuff, and it's shocking how many compromises the manufacturers are still building into them today. That if you take a Ford Transit, you can get into a Ford Transit by drilling one hole below the door lock. It is incredible.
Even I know how to do that.
You guys are. What am I associating with you? This is terrible.
It's crazy, isn't it? We're in a world today where you just go one hole there, boom, you're in. You may as well just do the old half a tennis ball trick again, because at least that way they're not damaging the bodywork. It's crazy that the car industry seems to have fallen so far behind. But it is interesting times. The car industry and the drone industry, a mix in. You're seeing DJI Cross into, that they've got a very.
Yeah.
Did they sell that? Did they say they sold that arm? Is that what they said?
I don't know. The very man's here. Kevin is here.
Kevin is here because I know he was following that closely. Because I thought they said they weren't doing it now, or they own a portion of it, or something. Doesn't that happen to be a factory in Malaysia?
It does happen to be a factory in Malaysia. And out the back, I believe they've got a couple of little men fettling drones. The hand bespoke DJI equipment, handmade in Malaysia. Or do you remember those cigar adverts where they were making the hand? You're probably not old enough for you, and Stephen. Where they were rolling the ladies rolling cigars on their legs and wherever they were, Panama on them. Yeah, yeah.
Did you see Potato Jet's video on the fly cart?
Yeah.
No, I haven't.
Makes you realize how big it is, eh?
Yeah.
It is big. I've seen a couple of pictures where you just go, Jesus, that's big. It's
a couple. I've heard a couple of organizations or institutions have bought them here in Finland, and they can't fly them because they don't have they don't have the permission. There's no way you can fly them here. Just no way.
Yeah.
And I did give my opinion before they bought them and said, "Are you sure you want to do this?" Well, yeah. And so apparently they're just sitting in the warehouse.
Allegedly, I wonder if they really are. I wonder if they're doing trials with them. Yeah, no,
you would know here. You would know.
Oh, would you?
Oh, yeah, I would know.
It's interesting that they went and spent all that money without really worrying about can we actually do this?
But these are organizations these organizations that don't have to worry about that.
Yeah, very good. Very
bit
good.
Like my local council.
Everybody's local council. Everybody's local council. That's an international problem, or whatever it is, whatever that unit of grown-ups in your local town is called, and wherever you are in the world, they're all exactly the same. My drone is EDF.
It's a question. If DJI do get banned, if it does happen, Autel have to be as well, because they are. It has to follow that there's no logic where Autel can continue and DJI can't.
But are Autel a threat?
There is, I guess that's where the semantics come in.
Well, they'll definitely make and sell more gear than Skydio.
Yeah,
definitely.
Skydio are gone from a. They're not even interested. I think in selling drones. I don't know what they're interested in doing, but it's all about here's $10,000 for that military drone. Thank you very much. We'll make we'll make 50 or 100 of them a year. In it, they're not in the consumer. They're not even in the commercial drone game really. They're in the.
And funny enough, on the weekend we went flying a big thing, and I had T motors, so obviously I had to stand at least 100 meters away from it. But
speaking hush tones,
exactly. Yeah, in case they heard. That's right, exactly. And I did my little Autel, my little orange Autel, and my mate had a Mavic 3. It's the first time I've flown one, and I thought, whoa, what a potato of a thing this is. I really didn't like it at all. What's the fuss about?
The 3 was a bit stodgy to fly. Potato is the right word. It was a bit. DJI it was always complained their drones were a bit too lively for camera drones, and they really backed that out in the Mavic 3 series. It's quite numbed is the term. You'll find it's not very reaction. It doesn't react well to the sticks. Everything's dulled. But that's what you need when you get used to it with a camera drone. You don't want anything to move quickly. You want to be able to smooth out shots, etc.
It's a C1 class. It's a good drone here for a C1 class drone. It does have its uses here in Europe.
Well, they're popular. They sell everywhere, but I was just surprised at how unlively it was. Now we're missing the other Ian, so we're not going to go into an hour and a half Discord on.
We'll start petting, Gary. Start petting.
He has, yeah, that's right. Yeah. Well, no, we can almost finish on time if we go like this. He has dropped a little bit of the Gatwick stuff, but other stuff has occurred. But it got very, very, very serious about 3 days ago. But it's
when the men in
gone
black
away now.
kicked his doors in and it said poker time.
That's
why
sort
he's
of
not
the time.
here. That's why he's
When
not
there's a
here.
UAV liquidation conducted in Reno. I didn't know about that, Dan. I will look at that straight away when we finish.
When the black
liquidation.
monks arrived. It was the black monks.
and they weren't the ones from Devon with the bottles of Bucky. Those ones. Yeah,
No. It's poker time, Blackadder.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, well, in that, so I'm going to try and finish on time on the hour. Dear viewer, wherever you are in the world, look after yourselves. We'll see you again next week when Randall hopefully will join us, and we'll see if we can get some more clarity from him. It's an interesting topic.
Maybe Kevin
look
will
after
come on as
yourselves.
well.
And maybe Kevin, that'll be fantastic.
That'd be good, eh?
Oh,
We
Kevin
just sit
would
in
be
the corner and
brilliant.
watch.
There'll be flame-proof suits and tin helmets all around. That'll be terrible.
Hey,
Sticks and stones
this
and
could be a
everything.
pay-per-view. We could charge like the boxing,
We probably could for that. We probably could. And on that note, dear viewer, look after yourselves. We'll see you next week. Take care. 2100 Gin and Tonic. Bye.